Welcome to the Zscaler Data Loss Prevention Policy module. In this module, we will cover an overview of the available web policies, an overview of the Zscaler data loss prevention capabilities, a look at the Zscaler configuration options and steps for DLP, a detailed look at the preliminary configurations necessary to enforce DLP policy, and a detailed look at how to create DLP policy rules. The first topic we will cover is an overview of the available web policies. The web policy area is the most extensive of the policy areas and allows the creation of security, access control, and data loss prevention policies. In this module, we will look in detail at the data loss prevention category and provide some recommendations for the policy settings. The next topic we will cover is an overview of the Zscaler DLP capabilities. Before configuring DLP on Zscaler, you must have a clear understanding of what it is you want to achieve with this functionality. Do you need active real-time protection, with targeted traffic being scanned for critical data signatures on exit from the corporate environment and any offending data blocked before it can leave the organization? Or is it sufficient to passively monitor data on exit and forward suspect transactions to an external system for offline scanning with a more comprehensive set of data signatures? Although this option only allows you to respond retroactively to any suspected data exfiltration attempt. Or do you need both capabilities, with real-time protection and detailed offline scanning, analysis and reporting? You can use Zscaler's DLP engines alone to scan for key data signatures in real time as data exits the organization. You can create granular policy controls based on our 14 standard DLP dictionaries and 4 default engines, or easily create custom definitions that you can tailor for your industry and propagate through the Zscaler cloud in minutes. Using Zscaler DLP, you can allow transactions or block them before the data has actually left the company, can notify your organization's auditor whenever a user's transaction triggers a DLP rule, plus detailed logs are accessible for you in real time. With the Zscaler DLP solution, you can ensure that you comply with industry, statutory, and regulatory criteria such as HIPAA, PCI, and EU data privacy regulations. Alternatively, you can configure Zscaler to simply detect a possible transgression and report it to an existing on-premise or cloud-based DLP system using the Internet Content Adaptation Protocol, ICAP. In this scenario, Zscaler does not scan the content with its own DLP engines, but simply acts as a filter and triggers based on the configured criteria. Zscaler can also block traffic based on the criteria, although without the use of the Zscaler DLP engines, this would be a fairly hit-or-miss process. Suspect traffic is forwarded to your existing on-premise or cloud-based DLP server so that your organization can perform detailed analysis offline as necessary, leveraging a comprehensive set of external DLP dictionaries and engines. The forwarding is actually done through a Zen on another cloud that we use for sending communications to your DLP servers. And to protect your organization's data, Zscaler recommends that you have the Zen send the suspect transactions in encrypted form using secure ICAP. As many DLP servers can only read unencrypted information, Zscaler recommends installing an open source application called S-Tunnel. Once S-Tunnel is installed on the DLP server, it can establish an SSL connection to the Zen, which can then send transaction information in encrypted form. For comprehensive DLP functionality, you can implement both models simultaneously, using Zscaler DLP engines to scan in real time, enforcing policy immediately, and forwarding any matching transactions to your on-premise DLP solution for detailed analysis and reporting. Zscaler DLP dictionaries allow the detection of a wide range of data signatures, including social security numbers, credit card numbers, UK national insurance numbers, Canadian CSINs, and Singapore NRICs. Custom dictionaries can be created with fuzzy search criteria to match financial or medical data, source code, US names, questionable content, Salesforce data, or any other signatures that you care to define. Data patterns, specific phrases, or both may be defined in Zscaler dictionaries and combined by a Boolean AND operation in a Zscaler engine. Note that Zscaler also detects attempts to exfiltrate data over the native FTP protocol. Both content and context criteria can be combined in a Zscaler DLP policy rule to match keywords, phrases, or patterns generated by specific users, groups, departments, or locations, within defined time intervals and for specific protocols if necessary. Detailed reporting is available by cloud application, such as webmail, social networking, cloud storage, and by context, user, group, department, location, or protocol. Both content and context criteria can be combined in a Zscaler DLP policy rule to match keywords, phrases, or patterns generated by specific users, groups, departments, or locations, within defined time intervals and for specific protocols if necessary. Detailed reporting is available by cloud application, such as webmail, social networking, cloud storage, and by context, user, group, department, location, or protocol. In the next section, we will have a detailed look at the DLP configuration options and steps available on the Zscaler platform. Data loss prevention policy is a part of the web policy configuration and allows you to create rules to protect your organization from data loss. Corporate data can be leaked in different ways through webmail, cloud storage, social media, and a variety of other applications. To protect your organization from data loss, Zscaler provides you with the following options for DLP policy. You may use Zscaler DLP engines only, forward information to your on-premise or cloud-based DLP server using the ICAP protocol, or use a combination of both methods. First of all, we need to look at the relationship between Zscaler DLP dictionaries, engines, and policy rules. A DLP dictionary contains a set of patented algorithms that are designed to detect specific kinds of information in your user's traffic. These predefined dictionaries can be modified, and you can also create up to 32 additional custom dictionaries for content not covered by the standard dictionaries. For each dictionary, you can add custom phrases and alphanumeric patterns that represent the content you want to protect, and define the action to be taken, whether to ignore, count, or trigger. The ignore option is really there for testing purposes. No action is taken, but the system will record any matches for analysis in the DLP logs. The count option adds each occurrence of a phrase or pattern to the violations total, and an event is triggered if the total reaches the specified number of violations threshold. The trigger option triggers an event immediately on detection of the phrase or pattern. Some of the standard dictionaries include a confidence setting, low, medium, or high. Plus, some of the standard dictionaries and all of your custom ones also contain a number of violations threshold configuration. For the standard dictionaries, these are set to default values. However, these values can be fine-tuned to help you to reduce the number of false positives triggered by the DLP policy rules. The standard dictionaries also have access to predefined keywords relevant to the type of dictionary that are used in assessing the confidence level. For example, the standard rule named credit cards is set to the confidence level medium and requires 5 violations before it will trigger. If this still results in too many false positives, you have the option to either increase the number of violations threshold or the confidence level. A DLP engine is a collection of one or more DLP dictionaries, and it is these engines that you subsequently reference in your DLP policy rules. By using a DLP engine, you can create rules to detect content that encompasses more than one dictionary. For example, if your organization wants to protect social security and credit card numbers simultaneously, you would create a rule using the PCI engine, which contains the credit cards and social security numbers dictionaries. Note that when a DLP engine uses 2 or more dictionaries, a logical AND operation is performed, so that Zscaler will only block content if all of the dictionaries in the engine are triggered. Also note that Zscaler DLP engines can scan files with a maximum size of 100 MB. Having defined any custom DLP dictionaries and/or engines on the Zscaler platform, you can refer to the engines in a Zscaler DLP engine policy rule. This then allows you to detect matching data patterns, allow or block the transactions containing them, and notify your organization's auditor as required. Plus, if you have an on-premise DLP solution, you can also forward content to it using secure ICAP, so that external DLP engines can perform further analysis of the data. The Zscaler DLP environment provides 14 predefined DLP dictionaries for things like adult content, credit cards, and medical information. And we allow you to create up to 32 custom dictionaries. Each of the custom dictionaries may contain up to 120 phrases and/or up to 8 patterns, with each phrase or pattern containing a maximum of 128 characters. We provide 4 standard DLP engines for you: GLBA, HIPAA, offensive language, and PCI, and you may combine any of the DLP dictionaries in up to 32 custom engines. Note that all the dictionaries added to an engine must trigger for the engine itself to trigger. Up to 127 DLP policy rules may be created, and for the Zscaler DLP engine rules, you may add whatever combination of the standard or custom engines that meets your needs. Note that the rule action will be taken if any one of the added engines triggers. One thing to note is that the Zscaler DLP engines can scan files with a maximum size of 100 MB, or for an archived file, the maximum size of an individual decompressed file is 50 MB. There are 2 main DLP policy configuration options. whether to use Zscaler internal engines or external engines. If you elect to go for the Zscaler DLP engine option, you have the ability to match data signatures from the standard Zscaler DLP engines or any custom engines that you created for specific purposes. Other criteria that can be used are any combination of the available URL categories, any combination of the defined cloud applications, specific file types, a minimum data size threshold, and all of the standard criteria: users, groups, departments, locations, and time. The actions available within a rule are to allow or block. You have the ability to set up notifications to either the hosted users or to an external auditor. Plus, you have the option to specify an external ICAP server to send any matching transactions to. If you elect to go for the external DLP engine option, Zscaler will act as a coarse filter for your external DLP server. The matching criteria that can be used are the same as for a Zscaler rule, with the exception of the DLP engines option. Extensive scanning and analysis can be done by the external DLP system using a comprehensive set of dictionaries and engines, although it is unable to block exfiltration attempts in real time. As with the Zscaler engine, the available actions are to allow or block. You can send notifications to hosted users or an external auditor, and you must specify the external DLP server to send any matching transactions to. There are a number of steps to configure DLP functionality on the Zscaler platform, the first of them being to review, customize as necessary, or even create new DLP dictionaries on the Administration DLP Dictionaries and Engines page. The next step is to review, customize as necessary, or even create new DLP engines on the Administration DLP Dictionaries and Engines page. Next, you may need to create or manage the DLP notification templates on the Administration DLP Notification Templates page. If you plan to send suspect transactions to an external DLP server using ICAP, you need to add the server to send them to on the Administration ICAP Settings page. Finally, you can begin to define your DLP policy rules to reference the engines, templates, and servers that you have defined. If you wish to send suspect transactions to an external DLP system securely, there are a number of integration steps that must be taken care of. Your DLP system must be available on a public IP address, and if it doesn't support secure ICAP natively, we recommend that you install the open source S-Tunnel application on the DLP appliance. You will of course also need to configure appropriate policy rules on the external system. The firewall in front of the DLP server must be configured to allow inbound connections from Zscaler, usually on port 11344. Then, as mentioned at step 4 in the previous slide, you must create the ICAP server in the Zscaler admin portal on the Administration ICAP settings page. When creating the ICAP server, the URL for the external system must be configured using the protocol definition ICAP-S. To send suspect transactions in an unencrypted form to your external DLP system, you can omit the installation of S-Tunnel, and you need to configure the URL for the ICAP server in the Zscaler admin portal using the protocol definition ICAP. Note that Zscaler recommends using secure ICAP to transfer data to your external DLP system. In the next section, we will have a detailed look at the DLP preliminary configurations on the Zscaler admin portal. This section has been created as an interactive demo to give you a feel for the navigation of the Zscaler admin portal UI. You will be asked to select the appropriate menu options to navigate the UI. You may also use the play control to proceed to the next step. To manage DLP dictionaries and engines, from the Administration menu, under Resources, click DLP Dictionaries and Engines. A DLP dictionary contains a set of patented algorithms that are designed to detect specific kinds of information in your user's traffic, and Zscaler provides a set of pre-defined dictionaries. The default trigger thresholds, number of violations, and the confidence setting are indicated, and you can modify these by editing a dictionary. To add a dictionary of your own to detect content relevant to your organization, click the Add DLP Dictionary link. You can create up to 32 custom DLP dictionaries. You must name them and set the number of violations threshold, which is the number of violations that is to trigger the dictionary. The dictionary triggers only if it finds more violations than the number specified here, and you may enter any value here up to 10,000. You can add up to 8 alphanumeric patterns that represent the content you want to protect, and which the dictionary is to detect. You can use a subset of the POSIX extended regular expression syntax to create the patterns to match. You may also add up to 120 exact phrases that the dictionary is to detect. You can use alphanumeric patterns to configure custom dictionaries that match a wide variety of data types. For example, you can define patterns to detect data such as US phone numbers, driver's license numbers, or credit card numbers for specific issuers. A number of sample patterns are provided below. General guidelines for patterns include the following. A dictionary can contain up to 8 patterns. Each pattern can have a maximum of 128 characters. Pattern matching is case sensitive by default. Only unique patterns are counted. A specific text matching the pattern is counted only once, regardless of how many times it actually appears in the content. The custom dictionary accepts a subset of the POSIX ERE syntax. See the online documentation for details. Although matching is done using a PCRE engine for flexibility and speed. Some simple examples of the pattern matching syntax are shown here for Hong Kong ID card numbers, California driver's license numbers, and SWIFT codes. Full details of the regular expressions supported with comprehensive examples are available on the support website. You can add to your custom dictionaries phrases that represent content you want to protect for your organization. General guidelines for phrases include the following. A dictionary can contain up to 120 phrases. Each phrase can have a maximum of 128 characters. The dictionary phrase matching is not case sensitive and ignores punctuation. The dictionary counts all matching phrases, including identical phrases. You can place quotes around phrases to specify that the dictionary detect only phrases that exactly match the phrase in the order given within the quotes. The DLP dictionaries are not used directly. They must be referred to from a DLP engine. To manage these, click the DLP Engines tab. A DLP engine is a collection of one or more DLP dictionaries. When you define your DLP policy rules, you must reference the DLP engines rather than the DLP dictionaries directly. By using a DLP engine, you can create rules to detect content that encompasses more than one dictionary. Zscaler provides 4 predefined engines: HIPAA, GLBA, PCI, and offensive language. To add your own custom DLP engine, click the Add DLP Engine link. You must give your engine a name, then select the combination of DLP dictionaries that you want it to enforce. Note that all the dictionaries added to an engine must trigger in order for the engine to trigger. To manage notification templates for DLP, click on DLP Notification Templates. You can create templates for the email notifications that are sent to your organization's auditors when a DLP policy triggers. When configuring DLP policy rules, you can reference one of the templates you configure here. There are no default templates. To create one, click the Add DLP Notification Template link. Name the template, specify an email subject, and optionally elect to attach violating contents or use TLS. In the Message as Plain Text or Message as HTML sections, you can create a customized message detailing why the content was blocked. This message is delivered by email to the auditor when a DLP policy triggers, whether or not it blocks the content. There are also a number of macros that may be used within the message text. To add an ICAP server, from the Administration menu, click ICAP Settings. Then click Add ICAP Server. Give the server a name and specify the URL for the server, then save the configuration and activate it. Remember, for secure ICAP, the protocol for the URL must be ICAP-S. For insecure ICAP, the protocol must be defined as ICAP. In the next section, we will have a detailed look at creating DLP policies. This section has been created as an interactive demo to give you a feel for the navigation of the Zscaler App Portal UI. You will be asked to select the appropriate menu options to navigate the UI. You may also use the play control to proceed to the next step. To configure data loss prevention policy rules, from the Policy menu, click Data Loss Prevention. Corporate data can be leaked in many different ways: through webmail, cloud storage, social media, file transfer protocol, and a variety of other applications. To protect your organizations from data loss, Zscaler allows you to set up rules with the following options for DLP policy: the use of Zscaler DLP engines only, or the use of an external DLP ICAP server. Rules are evaluated in the order specified, and rule evaluation stops at the first match. No rules are applied by default. If a single rule has multiple DLP engines selected, the specified action is taken if any engine is triggered. To simply monitor for data leakage, set the rule action to Allow. To add a new rule, click the Add field at the top. If all you want to do is to forward data to an on-premise DLP server, click the External DLP Engine option. Set the rule order and rule status and specify the rule name. You have the option to accept the default name of the rule or to edit it to provide a meaningful custom name. Configure the target criteria as required. In this case, the criteria available are URL categories, cloud applications, file type, data size in kilobytes, users, groups, departments, locations, time, and protocol. For an external DLP engine rule, you must send data to an on-premise or cloud-based ICAP server. Select the server here to send data to. ICAP servers must have been added previously as we described in the earlier section. The only actions available for this type of rule are allow or block traffic that matches the rule. If you select allow, the service will allow but log the transaction, and if you select block, the service will block and log the transaction. You can configure an email notification for the rule to be sent to a hosted auditor, just select the user to send the mail to, or to an external auditor. An email address is required. You must also select a notification template from the drop-down menu from the templates that you created earlier. Once you have fully configured the rule, click Save, then activate your changes. To create a Zscaler DLP engine policy rule, from the Add field, click the Zscaler DLP engine option. As before, set the rule order, rule status, and rule name. The only significant difference to an external DLP engine policy rule is in the criteria section, where the DLP engines are available to be selected as well as all the other criteria. This gives Zscaler the unique ability to make intelligent decisions about when to block traffic or alert an auditor based on the Zscaler standard dictionaries or the custom dictionaries that you created. Select from the Zscaler standard engines or those that you added yourself, as discussed previously. Note that the rule action will be taken if any one of the added engines is triggered. For a Zscaler DLP engine policy rule, you may also elect to send data to an on-premise or cloud-based ICAP server, although in this case this is optional. Once again, the actions available are allow or block traffic that matches the rule, and as before, if you select allow, the service will allow but log the transaction, and if you select block, the service will block and log the transaction. The same options to configure an email notification is available to be sent to a hosted or external auditor. As before, you must select a notification template from the drop-down menu from the templates that you created on the Administration DLP Notification Templates page. Once you have fully configured the rule, click Save, then activate your changes. Thank you for following this Zscaler training module. We hope this module has been useful to you, and thank you for your time.